If you're a fan of Overwatch, it's easy to assume you love all the characters in the game, right? Their awesome weapons, their cool styles, and their fun personalities. If you're running into battle, it might be a good idea to have a music-loving Brazilian healer by your side as well. And joining me today is that amazing Brazilian healer, Jonny Cruz. He's the voice behind the character of Lucio. Hello, Jonny. Welcome to the Gamers Dominion.
What's up? So happy to be here. So stoked to be talking to you guys. Very honored. Very honored.
Oh, thank you. We're honored to have you as well. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Gamers Dominion. And we have a history. We went to college together. Tell our listeners about that.
Oh yeah, we both went to UTA. We had a class. We were doing theater together.
Yes.
Oh man, the actings that came out of us were just at that time, you guys, you listeners would have just marveled at Genese's just performance ability.
No. All right, you're making me blush way too early in this podcast. Okay. All right. Well, away from me so I can stop blushing, and back to you. Jonny, tell us a little bit about how you became an actor.
When I was in the 7th grade, I had a teacher who took an interest in me. His name was Tracy Levin. And at that time, I really never thought about acting or anything. Tracy had long hair, was just kind of a hippie type. And I was just a lost, 7th grade boy with no direction. We were doing, monologues and stuff. And he would be very complimentary. He's like, hey, hey, not bad, kid, not bad. And at some point, we were doing a play for the school that was coming up, and he asked me to audition for the lead role. And I remember being like, well, all right, okay. I got myself together, I auditioned for it, and I was like, man, I'm pretty good. I'm going to get this. And he didn't give it to me. And I was like, huh. Well, I was clearly really good. He was very complimentary of me after I did it and everything, and then he didn't give it to me, so it kind of confused me. I used to go to this class and, just treat it like whatever. And when I went to him, I was like, hey, man, I kind of was really hoping to get this role. He was like, Jonny, you're good, but I can't trust you. I can't trust you to show up. I can't trust you to take it seriously. So I gave it to Art. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What? And he was like, well, but I can give you this other supporting role. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to take this role. I'm going to take this role, and I'm going to do it the best I've ever done anything. And I did it. It was a supporting role, small character in the play, but there was something when I did that was just so exciting, so like I finally felt like something in my life. I was in the right place. And so we did the play. It turned out great. And then the next semester, he put me in the lead of the play, and I just felt honored. I felt great. I felt this kind of direction I hadn't had before. Is like, hey, I'm good at something. And, that from there, it just kind of kept being the snowball of like, chasing this, of course, dream, but chasing to be better as an actor. So That's kind of where it all started. I know it's long-winded, but
no, that's incredible, because it really, I can feel in your voice and your passion that you've had that moment where you were like, you know what, I'm going to take this role, even though it wasn't the original role. And it formed, like, it almost feel like that was a pivotal moment that formed a part of who you were, like that who you are. That's so cool.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of different people who shaped, some of my belief that it could be done. I had a teacher, her name was Cecile Deason, and she was incredible. I mean, she was cool. She was hip. She gave me a lot of opportunities. As a senior in high school, she took me to, theater conferences, got a scholarship. She was somebody who was really pushing for me at that point. And, kind of the same thing, I used to kind of not take it so seriously. It was always something that was just kind of like I did. And I remember she just sat me down and she was just like, look, she was like, you can do this if you quit around. That's what she said exactly. And as a kid in high school, I was like, oh my God. I mean, she just cussed at me. This must be real. maybe I can.
I've always known, and I've always got the feeling from you, and now I know where that comes from, that you are an incredibly hardworking, boots on the ground. You will stop at nothing to keep at it. And it's interesting to hear that story and how it's evolved to you now living in LA, working as an actor. You not only do TV and film roles, but you do video game roles. Can you kind of describe your process as an actor, specifically? Hey, since this is the Gamers Dominion, specifically for your video game roles. Let's take Overwatch. For Lucio, did you
Right.
when you were reading or auditioning for that role? How did that come about? Did you get selected to just read for a few roles and they picked Lucio, or did you go in specifically for him? How'd that happen?
Well, when you talk about the process, I never even thought really about voiceover as an actor. It was always just kind of, I was just always, my goal in my mind was always on camera. And when I moved to LA, I made a call to a friend, and I was just looking for some acting advice from LA. And he was like, "Hey, man, that's all cool and all, but you should really get into voiceover." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "Voiceover's doing really well for me. It's really taken off." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, 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 cool, cool, cool." But I didn't take anything from it. And then I remember years later, I was playing a video game. The voice on the video game I was just like, "Oh man, this guy sounds so familiar. Who is this dude?" And I looked him up, and it was my friend. Little did I know that he had become the number one voiceover actor for video games.
Wow.
Troy Baker. And I was just like, whoa, he wasn't messing around. Yeah, because when I talked to him, he had just gotten into it, and then boom, like I was just like, wow. And so the funny thing is like I kind of fell into the voiceover through my manager, had gotten me an agent, and that's when it was just kind of like I was just doing it. So it never, like, my process, I hadn't had one yet. And then but it's not much different from preparing, except for the fact that you don't have to memorize your lines.
Right. Now,
Yeah,
did they
and
did they
so
give you like a photo of Lucio? Did they describe the character? How did that happen?
so I got an audition for this game called Prometheus. It had a picture of like a kind of a cool Latino skater kid. Said nothing about, his name was Lucio, and that he was just a kind of like a positive force, kind of uplifts his friends, kind of a cool dude in the community. Just a very brief kind of description. And I was like, when I read it, I was like, you know what? This is kind of like, in some respects, a little bit of how I am in a certain respect. With my friends, I'm, positive, chill, like. But when I get on a topic, I'll be very passionate about it and like really like hyped on it. And so I was like, what if I just take this me on another level of hype and, bring that into this role? It was just a very simple, like, me on hype is what I would call it.
I love it.
And yeah, and so a lot of my roles are in some way, the ones I get anyway, are always very like in some way an extension of me, whether it be like me on hype or me, afraid. Like these are what I'm noticing. And for Lucio, when I ended up going in for that, I just gave my hype, oh yeah, like, yeah, what's up, like that feel. I was just like, that's the essence. So if every line I can also, it's all about, I guess, the variation within each line, and kind of
Hmm.
what I've been noticing is like the flow of a line coming into a line when you're reading it. Voiceover is such a saving grace from like having to memorize lines, because it's all there for you. So like you can just pour out the emotion onto the line, and you don't have to worry about like, oh, what was my line? It's all there for you. Nobody's looking at you. So if anybody could see me right now, I'm just like, I'm moving around, and I'm like, my body's like going forward and back. And as I start to like, talk, like, you don't see my face because it's goofy looking right now. And on camera, you'd have to be like, oh, I can't look like this when I'm doing a line, because everybody's going to think I'm out of my mind.
Sure.
But the freedom within a booth to just like give that emotion in any way possible, it's like there's such a freedom in that booth. And I really dig that. And so it's like, on each line, how can you add personality to the line, and a lot of times it's sometimes with just like a ooh, like into the line. Ooh, I can't believe that. You know what I mean? And those help me. I think with each line, help me get into the line and move forward. Yeah, it's just that little bit of pre-life you add.
And we can hear it as gamers, when we play Overwatch, these characters are so loaded with personality that we feel so immersed. I mean, Lucio in particular he's just such a rich feeling. And even though he's a support character and he heals his team with that such a unique style of his, DJ awesomeness, there's something powerful in his whole presence that just makes him feel so mainstream, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm really like, just I'm so appreciative of like the appreciation that people are feeling for Lucio and his because his character, just his positivity and like, his outlook is just to me something I find attractive, in people that are just like, yeah, it can be done, let's do it. So I think it's for other people to say, hey, I really like Lucio, that, that's almost a little piece of me in there that they're saying, hey, I like that about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And now I'd like to actually ask you about that specifically because I'm sure, when you're going to events and you're meeting various fans or gamers or you're at acting events, can you describe like the difference between reactions from fans when when comparing your roles from something like Overwatch to TV and film?
I think it's been kind of a trip for me to experience like the voiceover world because nobody knows me in person, right? Or they don't know what I look like, because you're just hearing my voice. So I didn't really expect or know what was going to happen with Overwatch, and so it kind of started to seep in slowly when I started to see certain reactions. Is like nobody's gonna know unless somebody says, "Hey, this is Johnny. He's Lucio in Overwatch." And it's funny because the things that have been happening is like somebody will be like, "Oh, this is Johnny from Overwatch," and somebody will turn their head slowly and look at me and be like, "You're in Overwatch? Who do you play?" And I'm like, "Oh, Lucio." They're like, "You're Lucio?" So it's just this whole like, moment of like, I was like, "Oh, these people are reacting. Like, these people are loving this," and I'm like, "Oh man, it's." With acting, like this is more grand. I've done a lot of TV. I've done movies and film, but these reactions are way more like excited than anything I've ever done. So it's so interesting and new to me.
Yeah, that makes my heart sing because there's something about the gaming community that is unique, and it's just the energy, the lore that we all know, right? I mean, gamers, we take it seriously, and if we have a favorite game, it's almost like we can't get enough, and we'll watch all of the background extra cutscenes that maybe a game will offer, or we'll research, the lore behind every
Oh,
character,
right,
and
yeah, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. So it's almost like games have given us a way to be more immersed because we have those branching storylines that the developer offers. And of course, Blizzard with Overwatch is going to nail that. They do so well with lore and the richness behind characters. So that's so cool to hear that you're just having this really thrilling experience with gamers, doing like, whoa, wait a second, you're in Overwatch. I'm sure they ask you a million questions after that, but
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine. I was telling her, "Oh, I'm in this new game, Overwatch or something like that." And she's like, "I don't know what that is." And I was like, "Oh," but she's like, "But my brother plays a bunch of games." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Well, ask him if he plays Overwatch." And so she texted him, "Hey, do you know what Overwatch is?" And he texts her back. He's like, "It's the only thing I've been talking to you about for the past like 3 months." And then she was like, "Oh, well," she's like, do you know Lucio or whatever?" He's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, I'm hanging out with Lucio right now." And he was like, "Shut up." And she's like, "No." Like, he's like, "No, you shut up." And then she like, she calls him and she puts him on the phone with me. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And he's like, he couldn't even talk. You know what I mean? He was just like, and I was like, "How's it going?"
okay, I
He's
gotta
like,
ask. I gotta ask. Did he ask for a liner?
"Oh, of course." And I gave him a couple. It was great. Yeah. He was just like, well, once I went, once I said, "Oh, let's break you down," he was like, he was tripping out, man. I was like, but I was tripping out the fact that he was tripping out as much as he was tripping out, and he texted her back. He's like, this is the highlight of my summer. I'm like, really, guys? It's crazy. I feel so appreciated that, people are appreciating it that much. I mean, wow. What a gift to be in this series, or in this game that Blizzard put out, like, to be a part of, Blizzard, it's amazing.
I hear from fellow actors that I know that sometimes they do get known for a specific culture rich fan following line or role that they play, and how cool that this particular role you really identified with, and you're like, hey, this is me on Hype, and
Yeah.
so I'm sure that you get asked by gamers now to do those awesome lines that they love, and but it's cool that this is a character that you probably would enjoy saying Lucio lines forever. Am I right?
Yeah. It's probably stuff I say when I'm out, out on the streets being a nut. It's just stuff I've said before.
I gotta ask, one of our other favorite characters in Overwatch is Soldier 76, in addition to Lucio, and we are huge fans of Fred Tatasciore. Do you get to meet or greet with any of the other Overwatch actors, or do you guys all record separately?
We do record separately. The only person that I've met, Darren DePaul.
Okay.
He plays Reinhardt. And I didn't know he was in Overwatch, and we did this Amazon series called Stinky and Dirty. And yeah, in which I play a helicopter. So
You know what, Johnny? I think I've showed that show to my daughter.
really,
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Stinky and Dirty. And I thought that was the cutest concept because that's a helicopter and a truck or something like that,
yeah,
right?
that's the dump truck, and yeah, a little truck, yeah, and they're all like exactly. That's hilarious. But yeah, I'm the helicopter in that show. Darren's one of the cars, I believe. It's interesting because later on I was like, oh, I've worked with Darren before. I didn't even know he's also in Overwatch. He's also just a wonderful voice actor, and he's doing so many great things. I also in the room, who I also at this time I was also very new, to voice acting too. Is like Tom Kenny, SpongeBob, was in the room doing voices, and I didn't know till after the session was over.
Oh my goodness. See, I'm speechless right now. That is definitely my daughter's favorite show right now. She loves SpongeBob so. And
Yeah,
we met Tom Kenny last year at the San Diego Comic-Con, and he was so nice. It was
yeah.
so great meeting him.
Oh, he was so great, man, in the booth, and I was like, "Who's this really nice guy? He's really nice. Complimented me. I like this guy." And then it's
Ah,
SpongeBob, man.
all right. Well, this has just been an incredible segment. I'm so grateful to have you on the show, Johnny. This you can hear it in my voice. This has just been so much fun. Johnny, thank you so much for being on the show.
I had a great time. I'm so stoked that you asked me and that I could come and share, my life with you guys. It's great. Thank you.